After a dangerously cold end to 2017, the weather just keeps getting better as we get deeper into 2018.
The warmth is wonderful. The weekend looks good, but Taylor says it isn't quite that easy.
Okay.
I'm glad it's not quite that easy because they bring me in and they pay me a salary to help explain the ups and downs, the back and forth, and why it's all happening, right? If it was just a straight line straight up, we'd have a robot out here pointing erratically at a map. So cold on the other side of the state last night, sub-zero temperatures again. I talked to my dad for his birthday. He lives over there, and he said, yeah, it was really cold early this morning. You can see the Black Hills, though, even last night, sticking up out of that cold air. Had an inversion, and that held true today, too, with temperatures the best right around here in the Black Hills, sticking up out of that cold air. 38 degrees in Phillip, much colder, of course, on the other side of that Missouri River. 14 at Mitchell, Sioux Falls 10, and single digits across Minnesota. That cold air actually working its way from east to west. It's almost hard to say from east to west. It just doesn't happen all that often in the weather department. As it works its way in, it's some moist air. It has to rise from the lower elevations. You drive from Chamberlain up to Rapid City, you're going to get fewer MPGs, and you're going to have to climb up. And the air is going to do the same thing. It expands a little bit. We see some patchy fog, and it tends to stick around here in Rapid City. That's one of the reasons that the forecast bounces back and forth, and a robot wouldn't have quite done it for you. We have to put that in perspective and know that our temperatures tomorrow are just going to fall shy of what a robot would have told you, Steve. So we'll tell you in my normal human voice what numbers we can expect for tomorrow.
What do you mean, Taylor? Thank you. Donating blood is so important, and we'll hear from one woman who owes her life to the generosity of others. That's coming up after the break.
And you get cookies, too, when you donate, or you get some sort of food. That certainly helps, too. So we have 9 hours of sunshine now this time of the year. All the better it can do is get us up into the 60s. It happened just 6 years ago here in Rapid City, and it might happen again in the Black Hills before the weekend is done. Our forecast bounces around. We'll talk about it next.
This is your Skyview forecast.
So I have some pretty big plans to do some grocery shopping on Saturday, and I hate it when you're opening the car and I have a hatch on my van and then closing it when it's so filthy. But my whole thing is, am I going to be able to get my car washed before then, because the lines are long?
Yeah, the lines are long. They're going to stay long. Sometimes the nice thing about working the evenings is I can sneak in there at 9:30 in the morning. There's just a couple retired guys in line with me, and
me tomorrow.
And that's about it. And Peggy in your Mazda will be watching for you. I gotta get the salt off my car too. It looks pretty bad. What you want to do is you want to make sure you got enough sunshine and warm temperatures that the car can dry off fully. You don't want to get the car washed. It's 20 degrees out. You try to get your key in the door, and it doesn't happen because there's ice on there, and that ice can stick around for a long time. Tomorrow might not be the day you want to do it. I don't think we're going to get much above freezing. Our temperatures slipping into the teens here for tonight, but tomorrow those temperatures limited with a lot of cloud cover and probably some patchy fog for some of us. Those of you watching from Wyoming, thank you, by the way. Your temperatures are going to be better. You'll see some sunshine, Gillette, Sheridan, Wright, Wyoming. So this is what you normally would see on average anyway, as far as moisture is concerned in this part of the country. We were doing fine the first few months of the year. This line is 2017. We took some pretty significant hits. We had a dry May, June, July, and that is when you really get the bulk of the moisture around here. And if you happen to be dry in those months, you can cause some trouble. Looks like this tree was pretty dry. Paula found this one south of Deadwood, probably knocked down by the wind events here a couple of weeks ago. And when those trees are dry, a little more prone to be tipping over across the area. Thankfully, those winds have died down. I'm glad, because they were howling there just a couple of weeks ago. No longer the case. We're currently have a 0-mile-an-hour wind out at the airport. So the 20 degrees that the thermometer feels, it's exactly what it feels like to you and I on our skin. 10 degrees at the base of the dam at Deerfield, 22 at Nemo. The cool air off to the east now pushing its way into our area. We call it a backdoor cold front. Most of the time they'll come from Montana, from Canada. We call it an Alberta Clipper. This time it doesn't come in as such a rush. It's backdoor. Most of that cold air is headed towards Minnesota, where they like to play hockey every mile and a half. We've got a rink there. That cold air sliding from east to west here, pushing against the Black Hills, lifting up over those higher elevations. It lifts up up that atmosphere, produce a little bit of some fog. Already reports of some reduced visibility there to the north. I checked out Slim Buttes up there as you get pretty close to the North Dakota state line along Highway 79. Doesn't look like any fog. We typically will see that there at Slim Buttes. Not the case here yet. Do expect most of that fog to develop after midnight tonight because we've got the cold air to the east, the warm air to the west. Those two are going to meet, and typically they'll be right around the Black Hills. So Rapid City likely stuck under those low ceilings, under the fog, and you get in the Black Hills to poke out of that cold air. We'll see some sunshine in the hills. We might see a 20 to 30 degree difference there. Saturday looks great. We'll see some warm air. Here comes another push of some cooler air for Sunday, and maybe even a couple of snowflakes south and west of the Black Hills on Saturday night. A lot of moving parts here in the forecast, so follow along. Try to get you the best understanding what's going on that we possibly can. 31 degrees for tomorrow. Do expect that patchy fog to be most likely on the South Dakota plains, and especially here at the base of the Black Hills. In the foothills, that fog tends to linger from Hermosa to Rapid City up to the Sturgis area. 47 degrees tomorrow in Hill City. There's that inversion we see a lot in the winter months around the Black Hills. It'll be out there tomorrow, meaning Lee, Deadwood, Keystone, Hill City, warmer than Hewlett, Moorcroft, and those areas out on the prairie. 8 degrees tomorrow morning in Martin. You'll only get into the 20s, even colder off to the east. In central South Dakota, high temperatures only in the teens. And look what you get in Gillette and Sheridan. Not only do you get the beautiful sight of the Bighorns and just a good look at Wyoming, you also get to see it under some sunshine and some really nice temperatures. 31 degrees on Friday, just a hiccup there. We're going to get that rebound going again Saturday, all the way up to 52 degrees. That's great if you love it. We'll try to do it again early next week before a big push of some cooler air and maybe a little bit of some rain and snow as that Arctic air pushes back into the area.
Looking good.
Very.
Single-digit highs across Minnesota. Again, it looks cold in the Twin Cities as seen on the highway cam there. They're going to stay with those single digits through much of the forecast. By the time they get to Sunday, maybe some 20s. Do see some improvement here this weekend. Salt Lake City, a lot of smog there, a little bit of some snow on the horizon for Chicago. They could see that on Sunday. Closer to home, teens and single digits across the east. Nice in Billings, a lot like the Black Hills area. Those teens, Bismarck, Sioux Falls, Omaha, all headed into the 30s by the time they get to Sunday. Denver missing out on the cold air. They'll stick with 40s and 50s. Lots of sunshine in the forecast there, and our temperatures will stay pretty nice. Maybe a little up and down. They'll get colder a week from now, and we'll talk about it coming up. Turned out to be a nice day across the Black Hills. 40s, 30s out on the plains. The cold air off to the east, and that's where that bubble of cold air sits, mostly around the Great Lakes, and Minnesota is taking it on the nose here over the last few days, too. That warm air working its way into our area, but the cold air kind of just sagging into our area here overnight tonight. It'll produce some patchy fog, mostly after midnight, and mostly on the South Dakota plains. It'll leave Rapid City cooler than our neighbors. We'll see some 40s, maybe 50 in the high country of the Black Hills, but we all look good for Saturday.
I love it.
I know. I thought it was legit for a while.
Yeah.
A little throwback. You know, we saw Don Johnson there back in college, back in about 84 when Miami Vice was big. I won a Don Johnson lookalike contest.
Hey!
And you had the jacket with the shirt.
And I just got called Tubbs a lot.
Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
Good night.